All right, everybody, welcome back to the Good Old Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 63. We are filming this on St. Paddy's Day, a.k.a. Alan's birthday.
Thank you.
How you feel, buddy?
I feel 25.
Yeah, feel old?
Not any older than I felt yesterday, but
Yeah.
it's kind of weird to think about I can rent a car now.
Yeah. Legally.
That's the only thing that happens at 25, but
Yeah. That and back pain.
yeah.
really.
Yep. I wake up, I'm all, oh my goodness.
You start stretching with like noises when you stretch now. You're like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now that, 25 is, it's a weird age because you're just like, I feel like it sets, like, you just know you're old now.
Yeah.
When you're 25, you've officially like entered UNC status too. Or you're like, because the age range, if you see on anything that does like surveys and stuff, it's always like 18 to 24.
So Brandon, I saw Brandon at a stick time the other day. He was getting on the ice like right as we were getting off, and he called me Unk. And I was like, "What the hell?"
He's 18 now.
I know,
so
that's
he's a legal adult.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. I remember when he was like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's a legal adult.
Yeah. Pretty
we were
crazy.
actually at we're at Top Golf for his birthday party on Friday, and our waitress was pretty cute, and I couldn't tell if this waitress was in my age range or his age range. And I was like, oh, I just felt so old.
You know what's crazy is now you guys have the same age range.
Yeah.
He could date up.
He could date up. He's 18. He's legal, but she was 24, I think. So
okay,
we're good. It was mine.
You're good.
But then she said she had a boyfriend when my mom asked about. She was just like trying to, not like ask for us, but she like sneakily had asked like, "How old are you?"
Yeah.
This girl, and she was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and then talking about Brandon's age, like guessing, and he was like 20. She guessed that he was 20. And it was about his facial hair, and she said something, I don't remember because I tuned her out, but she said something about a boyfriend. And then I was just like, well, all right.
I don't listen to you anyways, but now I'm really not listening.
I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But anyways, March. It's March, which brings me to the point that Settle Down has a bracket challenge. You can win up to $100. Go fill out a bracket. The link will be in the bio, in the description of the video. Or listening on Spotify. Enter that. It's free entry. You get $100 if you pick right. And you're the number one leader. So it's free money at that point.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not?
I actually came pretty damn close to winning that last year, which is crazy because I don't pay attention to college basketball at all. I didn't even know what teams were in the tournament, right? And I just hit, I think when I filled out my bracket, I just hit pick highest seed for every single, and I was like fourth in points or something like that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
UConn won last year, right?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not.
I believe they did.
Yes. Them, was it Purdue? No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even know who's in the tournament really this year. I'm going to go for St. John's this year because their coach is fucking hilarious. And that's my basis.
Is San Jose State in the tournament?
No.
Damn it.
Well, State didn't make it either. They lost on Saturday, yeah.
Isn't BSU normally pretty good basketball?
They can be. They've made they've never won in the tournament. So, yeah, not very good. But, go join that. Free $100. Make sure you're following Settle Down on Instagram, though. And you won't get your prize if you're not following them. So, join that. But we've got some pretty heated, we got a heated Calder race we're going to talk about. We've got Aaron Ekblad, who got suspended, we're going to talk about. And then some potential records that we could be seeing broken just this year. Outside of Ovi. But first things first, Aaron Ekblad got caught using performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, this was like right after we filmed, I think, on...
It was the day after.
Yeah, that we filmed last week. So.
Yeah. Just missed it. Just missed it. But
it always happens. Whenever there's like a big episode, it's always like, wow, that was awesome. And then there's some bigger piece of news that came out. So hopefully nothing like that happens this week, but probably will. But yeah, Aaron Ekblad suspended 20 games. The Panthers had 18 games left in the season at that point. So he can return game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs round 1, which I think, Panthers are in a good spot, and I don't think he's really going to hurt them.
Nope.
But they did get Seth Jones, and there's a conspiracy. We're going to put our tinfoil hats on here. Conspiracy that Florida knew that he was going to get caught, and they went out and got Seth Jones. could be true, but I also think that they needed Seth Jones.
Yeah.
Just as another.
Needed some.
They've always, just a strong defenseman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think about him getting suspended like that?
So from my understanding, it was something that he was taking to get over an injury, to recover from an injury, which I think should be looked at a little bit different than just juicing.
Yeah.
Right? Because these guys, they go through all sorts of shit. They put their bodies through all sorts of shit. And especially somebody like Aaron Ekblad, who has had kind of an injury-riddled career.
Yeah.
You got to do something to get better.
Yeah.
We don't pay to watch, I don't pay for like 4 different subscriptions to watch NHL to not watch the best players in the world play.
Yeah.
I think it should be looked at a little bit different as just straight using the steroids, because we want to see, like, imagine it's Connor McDavid, right? And he's got some major injury, and nobody's going to want to watch the Edmonton Oilers if they can't watch Connor McDavid, right?
Yeah.
Let the guys get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, you get NHL players, former NHL players, they get addicted to all sorts of painkillers.
Yeah, that
because they're trying to get over an injury.
Yeah.
If a steroid helps them get better.
Yeah.
And like actually better, not just playing through pain.
Yeah.
Why not do it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it should. There was, I think in baseball, Fernando Tatis Jr. got caught using steroids. And it gets like that label where it's like, oh, he's using performance-enhancing drugs, stuff like that.
He's a cheater.
Yeah, he's a cheater. When it's like, if you're trying to get over an injury, I am kind of okay with it. If there's got to be, and again, I'm not going to make the rule here, but like, if there's a way the NHL can monitor it, or like there's like a health department they can administer, or like through the team doctor, like you can't go off on the street and buy steroids to go fix yourself. He's not putting a needle in his ass. I'm assuming it's probably a pill or something he's taken. I personally think it should be okay to use that in order to get over an injury, because like you said, we don't want to watch these guys get riddled with injuries and then turns out to what it could have been. When it's like, look how far we are in medicine. Like, why can't they do that?
Do you remember Derek Bugard?
Yes.
So, sad story if anybody isn't familiar out there. Basically, this guy he played for the Minnesota Wild in, I believe, the late 2000s, early 2010s. And he was only out there to fight, like big bruiser guy, and he got addicted to, I believe it was oxycodone, and overdosed and died. Yeah. Sad story. Nobody wants to see that happen.
No. And these guys are taking painkillers.
Yeah.
Like they are.
Every single one of them is on some sort of painkiller. If there's some like steroid that can help them overcome injuries quicker or something like that, if that's really all it was, why is that a bad thing? Why is that a problem? I really don't get it.
I think like it comes to a point where obviously we don't want, like, because there are negative sides of like
EPO and shit like that. Yeah.
Stuff like that, like testosterone boosters. Like there's negative sides to that. And I'm not saying that they should go out MLB steroid era. It'd be fun. Don't get me wrong.
I think they should.
I think it'd be pretty fun. But
viewers, fans, who doesn't want to see Ovi on just a boatload of steroids, just skating around, beating the shit out of people, flying around, throwing big bodies, taking slap shots from the blue line that are going in every single time? Who doesn't want to see that?
Dude, imagine like back in the day, Patrick Kane just on steroids.
Like, 5'11", like
Connor Bedard could use it. Yeah.
Just jacked.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah, Connor Bedard's getting pushed around. Like, he could use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely serious about that, but I'm also not entirely kidding about that. Like, it'd be really fun to see.
Yeah.
Like, listen, Barry Bonds isn't in the Baseball Hall of Fame because apparently steroids are so bad that he wouldn't, still be an insanely good baseball player if he wasn't using steroids, even though he was good before that. Who doesn't want to see a bunch of NHL players just juiced to the gills? Yeah. Right? On EPO, they can skate for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah. Fights would be insane.
Oh my gosh.
What's called the
roid rage?
Roid rage, yeah. People get, no. But yeah, it would, like, getting back to serious, like, it would be, like, we're not advocating for the steroids that make you get roid rage.
Ovi's pissed off, flies into Connor McDavid full speed, just destroys him. That'd be hilarious.
It would be.
And then McDavid could use some steroids to get better from that injury that he would obtain. And
exactly.
It's perfect.
Yeah, no, it is. But yeah, like I think these players like using medicine's come a long way, and it's like if these players can maybe, I don't know, sit out, like if they're not actively playing, they can take these administered steroids by the league to help them get over an injury. Once they're playing, they can't be taking it. Like it's not like you can play through an injury using it, right?
Yeah, no.
I don't think that's allowed. But if they were to have it in a way, and I'm not trying to make the rule here on what it should be, but I'm just saying NHL figure it out maybe and try it out. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. And it's also hard to say because, like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Ekblad said he took something to get over an injury. How true is that? We don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that's why it's like, okay, if it's administered by the team doctor and they're going through it, I just think it's a slippery slope and hard to figure out what's what. But I think nowadays with how medicine is, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's something they can do to help these players get over injuries just with what we have available.
If there truly is some sort of substance that primarily helps players overcome an injury and heal from an injury, it's something that the NHL should look into because nobody wants to see. You look at Carey Price. Yeah. He had the same issue. Thankfully, it didn't get to the point where Derek Bugard was at, but he had the same issue where got addicted to substances because he couldn't get over an injury, right? He had that massive knee injury in 2015 that basically ruined his career, derailed his career.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. No. You have a goalie like Carey Price, you want to watch him play. Yeah. You don't want to see him out for months and months injured. Yeah. So
I want to see, and I get like in sports, like LeBron, for example, like he's always been not injured. Yeah. Watch him like jinx him now, but he's always been he's always been like a healthy. He's 40 years old. I also don't know that guy's not on something, but
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, but it's like if they're doing that to like keep them physically fit and it's not bad for their health long term, I think it should be okay. But that's where it gets tricky. It's like
this is a whole conspiracy and a whole conversation in and of itself. Most athletes are on some sort of substance. Yeah. They just are. Like when you see UFC fighters get popped for steroids, every single UFC fighter is on some sort of steroids. Yeah. Every single one of them. Football players will get caught too. It's like these dudes are like, they're huge guys, right? Obviously they take care of their bodies. But if you're 6'7", 270 and pure muscle, you're not natural. No. Odds are you are not natural. Yeah. And it's the same way with hockey players. They're all on cocaine. They're all taking cocaine. How's that any worse than APO? It does the same thing, right? Yeah. Except it's worse for you. Yeah. So I don't get why. I think there needs to be some more research done into what is safe for players to take that will not give them at least too much of an unfair advantage. Yeah. But like safer options, when you have guys getting caught left and right, it seems like doing cocaine with massive cocaine problems in the NHL. Yeah. That's the problem. You have former players talking about how everybody's on coke. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. I think
it should be at least monitored by the NHL in some sort of way.
We should free Aaron Ekblad. Yeah. The moral of the story is free Aaron Ekblad.
Yeah. Assuming he's telling the truth, like if it's for an injury trying to get better, I think any player should be allowed to do that.
Absolutely.
I think ultimately, though, I don't think the NHL is ever going to allow that just because how tricky it can get and like what is legal, what's not. But at the same time, like there already is legal steroids that people can use that won't get caught, like stuff like that. So it's like, why not do something to help these players get better and fix their bodies and not take fucking OxyContin or...
Why does... whatever they test for doping, why don't they test for cocaine? Yeah. That's a PED itself. And you got guys getting caught because they post an Instagram story about it. Yeah. How do you not know that? Yeah. How do you not know that ahead of time? Yeah. I don't know.
That too.
It's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, even weed too, like I don't think the NHL tests for weed, does it?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah. I don't think it does. But like that could be considered a performance enhancing drug because they
Not going to get hurt as easily.
Yeah, like they can. It's a painkiller, kind of.
Yeah.
Legal painkiller, depending on what state you're in.
Yeah. Not in the state of Idaho.
Not ours. Not ours. But no, it's like, I mean, I'm sure those players are, using that, and you could. I think there was a sprinter in the Olympics a couple of years ago. She got caught with marijuana use, and that was considered performance-enhancing drug, which, yeah, sure, like mentally, maybe, I guess.
There was some, oh gosh, who was it? I don't know. There's like some sporting qualifications qualify weed as performance-enhancing drug because it helps with recovery.
Yeah.
It can help with recovery.
Yeah.
And some don't. It's just like, why isn't there some sort of just across the board, like, this is allowed, this is not? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's.
I think the fact that it's a federally illegal drug probably gets in the way
doesn't
of it.
help.
That gets in the way of it. But look at us. We're political here.
Exactly.
We are. Okay. All right. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, Aaron Ekblad's situation, I think you got caught. Like, you just got to take the suspension on the head. He's going to be back game 3 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Probably going to play the Leafs. Or no, who's leading the Atlantic right now? It's like back and forth. Yeah.
I think
Panthers will probably finish second, and they'll play the third team.
Which will be the Lightning, probably.
Lightning, yeah.
Yep.
Again. Or no. Well, yeah, they played each other last year, first round.
Sorry, we're way off. Florida's in first, Tampa's second, Toronto's third.
Okay.
That's like a nightmare situation for Toronto. They really have to be first.
Yeah.
You don't want to play Florida or Tampa in the first round.
No. I'll give them. I mean, even the Rangers. Yeah, it'd be tough. Anyways, but you had told me before we were recording, the potential records that could be broken this season.
Yes,
we have the Ovi record. Obviously, everyone's been eyeing on. He is 8 goals away now after scoring on the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sick.
So there's a ton of records. Ovi needs 8 goals in his last 15 games. That would put him as the number 1 goal scorer of all time. He'll pass Gretzky. Leon could reach 60 goals. He needs 11 goals in his final 15 games. What I find craziest about that stat, that is the 4th year in a row, if he can get there, that we have had a 60-goal score.
Yeah.
I mean, the NHL has not been that highly scoring in our lifetimes.
Since Gretzky was probably the one doing it all.
I can almost guarantee it was Gretzky Lemieux.
Yeah.
With the last time that there was a 60-goal scorer 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Because I remember the Cap era, the
highest
record was 65, and by Ovi, it was like 08-09.
Yeah.
I think. And that was the only guy. He was the only guy to score 60.
Yeah.
Then Stammer did it in 2012, and then nobody else came close.
No.
And 4 years in a row.
Yeah. Freakazoid Matthews.
So that's pretty 69. Nuts. Cale Makar needs 5 goals in his last 14 games to score 30 goals. It'd be pretty crazy to see a 30-goal defenseman.
That would be nice.
I don't remember. I think Brent Burns got close one year. I don't think he ever did it.
Yeah. Well, imagine being a 30-goal scorer. You're on the same level as this 40-goal scorer, Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, Cale Makar, if he scores 5 goals, he scores 40 goals.
Yes.
Even though he'll only be at 30 goals.
Yes.
So that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. No, a 30-goal defenseman would be crazy. I mean, I feel like Brent Burns did it, but that was when he was a forward, I'm sure.
I think he only scored like 28 or 29. I don't think he ever hit 30.
Yeah.
I might be wrong on that, but let's see here. Cole Hutson could win the rookie scoring race if he keeps or Cole. Oh, it's Lane Hutson. This page I'm reading on is wrong. Lane Hutson could win the rookie scoring race. He would be the second defenseman since the year 1989 to do so. Only Quinn Hughes has won the rookie scoring race as a defenseman since 1989. So it'd be pretty crazy to see. Crosby could get his 20th point per game season, which would put him most consecutive all time and most all time.
Yeah.
Surpassing Gretzky. He needs 7 points in his last 13 games, which at the level he's playing on, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Which is pretty nuts. Hell, he could hit 90 points again, which would be pretty insane. I think he had like 93 points last year, which is just to see him doing that in his, later years of his career is just nuts.
It's impressive.
And then the last one, and one of the more impressive ones, Connor Hellebuyck could break the single season wins record if he wins 10 of Winnipeg's final 14 games of the season. Now, I don't know if he's going to play all 14 games the remainder of the season. They're already pretty comfortably in first in the Central Division. I was thinking Metro Division. I'm like, wait, they're not in the East. I'm all over the place today. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. I don't know if he'll actually play all 14 games.
Yeah.
Maybe he plays 10, wins 10.
Yeah.
He's that good that he might.
True.
He'd be passing Braden Holtby and Martin Brodeur share that record at 48 wins. He has 39 right now.
Wow.
So it's very possible he does. And, they're still fighting it out with Washington for the President's Trophy. So I could see him starting. They want to get as much of a lead as possible as they can in that Central Division, be the best team possible, but they're already pretty comfortably in first.
The issue with pushing like that and trying to get him a win is like we see it year after year. The Rangers win the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Boom, fall apart in the playoffs.
That
Bruins win the
Jets
President's
last
Trophy.
year?
The Jets last year. Yeah, exactly. Like they were so good, and the problem is you push that hard in the regular season. Playoff hockey is just so much different. Yep. And I think for Hellebuyck especially, who just has not performed in the playoffs like you need him to. I'm not sold on the Jets. I never will be, just like the Leafs, until they can actually do something. Until they lift that cup over their head, frankly. I'll give, okay, if they were to make the third round or fourth round, I'll be sold the next year. I'll be like, okay, they can make a run. But until that happens, just like the Leafs, I'm going to just be like, I just don't trust them. I'm not going to put them in my bracket to go far.
So I find it kind of crazy. If I'm doing this math right, could set the all-time win record as a team. What did Boston get that one season?
They had 62 wins or 63, 60-something wins.
Single season. Sorry, I have to look this.
Yeah, I think... I mean, I don't know if you want to repeat.
Never mind.
What happened? What?
Boston won 65 games this season. If they win out, that puts them at 61 wins. For whatever reason, I thought it was 60. Oh. But they kind of are reminding me of that Boston team where it's like, as it sits right now, they're going to be playing Vancouver in the first round. I don't know if Vancouver would be the team to beat them, but they're tied with St. Louis in the standings. Yeah. Or like Utah could still get in. They're at 71 points. Vancouver's at 73. That at the end of the day, that race is so tight.
Yeah.
Between those three teams sitting on the outside looking in. Who knows if some crazy shit happens, and Winnipeg's already known for falling apart in the playoffs. So
yeah. So I saw something today. Also, Sharks have officially been eliminated from playoff contention.
Wow! Dang it! I thought it was still gonna happen. Yeah. I had hope.
That's crazy. I mean, if they had won out the rest of the year, would that mean that they're in? That's crazy. But yeah, they've officially been eliminated. But on the bright side, as Sharks fans, we're gonna look at the bright side here. Mm-hmm. We're rebuilding. And I want to say at this point last year, when they got eliminated, they were at 39 points.
Yep.
Now they're at 45 points. So slowly but surely.
In the right direction, baby.
Yeah. And like we've said all year, like we are the worst team, but we're having the most fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're having the most fun as the worst team. Which you don't want to get these guys used to losing. No. And I don't think they are. They're all competitive hockey players. I think, like we've said, one more year of the Sharks being bad. Even next year, like if we're not on the bottom next year, I won't be upset, just because I feel like we have enough draft capital that couldn't hurt. But maybe get a shot at Gavin McKenna would be awesome. But I don't think we really need it.
Yeah, no,
can't afford it either.
No.
Like
how the hell are you going to
looking at our future? Yeah, it's like okay, you got Celebrini, Smith, Dickinson, Musty, Askarov. Yep. Like those are all guys that are going to be making over 7. Celebrini over 10
at minimum.
At minimum. Hopefully we can get a good deal.
Yeah.
Get a team-friendly deal there, but
who knows? Yeah. It's one of those things.
And then if we get another, Matthew Schaefer, like defensemen are going at a premium now. And we have a pretty good prospect pool on defense now, but just need him to finish it off, really. But
it's just, I don't know how the hell they're going to. It's funny. The Sharks are the only team eliminated. Yeah. The Blackhawks are 4 points ahead of us.
What's funny is
I don't think they make the playoffs either.
Expert pick here. Expert pick. We have officially called that the Chicago Blackhawks are going to be eliminated from playoff contention and the Nashville Predators.
I wonder how much money I'd have to put right now on the Blackhawks missing the playoffs to actually turn a profit.
$100. Their odds are probably minus 10,000, if that's even a bet. Like I don't even know if you can bet on that, but
I'm sure you can on some sketchy sports book.
True, I can look.
And then the second that you put money on it, you're gonna lose. Yeah. Somehow the Blackhawks are gonna go on a tear for the next 15 games. But
sports betting is not legal in our state, so we're not condoning any of that.
Oh yeah, it's not. My bad.
We're not condoning any of it.
Idaho, I'm not sports betting.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. But yeah. Little Sharks tidbit there. Is that all the records that be broken?
Yeah. This season has just been very interesting. I would have never guessed that remember at the beginning of the season when I called the Washington Capitals frauds?
Yeah.
They are in second place by 9 points.
Wow.
So they lead in the league.
Yeah.
So they lead the Dallas Stars, who are currently in third place in the league, by 9 points. It's 87 to 96.
Impressive. I mean, the Capitals, I'll give it to them. Like, from what I've heard, I keep repeating this, but they have a tight locker room.
Yep.
And from what I know in hockey, when you have a tight locker room,
anything can happen.
You have a good team.
Yep.
Especially playoffs. And you've got Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Who's trying to
scored against the Sharks, too.
Yeah, he did.
Wasn't empty netter either.
Nope. Good goal. But yeah. I think it's going to be interesting watching them in playoffs. I mean, I kind of thought really the last time, probably since they won, that they've actually had a chance to really do it. Every time they've made the playoffs, I'm always like, okay, you're going to get bounced for sure. Yeah, you're going to get swept by the Rangers. Yeah. So, but this year, funny. I don't know. We could see something crazy, but if they get the President's Trophy, they could be bounced in the first round.
Crazy turn of events, though. I remember last season, they made the playoffs with a negative goal differential, which was like wild. First of all, they're the most fraudulent team to make the playoffs. Where like this team's gonna fall apart.
Yeah,
Ovi's gonna get traded, or he's gonna live out the rest of his career being mediocre or bad.
He's like 25-year-old Ovi now.
Yeah, I think I saw he would be on pace in a full season to put up like 58 goals. Which is just fucking nuts.
That is crazy.
That guy is insane. Let's see here real quick. He's currently tied for 5th with Pastrnak and Thompson with 34 goals right now.
Okay.
And yeah, I think we were looking at it last week. Like the oldest guy on this list is like Kyle Connor. Yeah. Or no, it's Mark Scheifele. He's like 31.
Yeah.
And Ovi's 7 years older than him, 8 years older than him, and he's still hanging around with those guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Question for you then. Mount Rushmore of hockey. You get four names up there.
Mm-hmm.
If Ovi breaks this record, is he on that Mount Rushmore now?
That's a great question. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe it's because I hate the Bruins. I've never been a huge like Bobby Orr fan.
Really?
I've never thought like, yes, but he revolutionized the game, sure.
Yeah.
But like you look at his stats and he's leading the league in the worst era of hockey.
Yeah.
He was the best player in the world in the worst era of hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see him up there. I think the three for certain, Waino, Mario Lemieux, and I think Sidney Crosby's on that list now.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if Ovi bumps him off, bumps Bobby Orr off, but I think he might.
Yeah. Because you could also put, Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe,
but
Gordie Howe just played forever, though.
That's
I'm gonna shit on every single old head hockey fans their dream player, right? But Gordie Howe played until he was like 50.
Yeah.
If Ovi plays till he's 50, he's gonna have like 1,200 goals.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, I love Jágr. Jágr's a great player, but like it's kind of the same case where it's like
he also played until he was 44 in the NHL, and like yes, he was great. He was only the best player in the world for like one season.
Yeah.
2 seasons, but Jumbo beat him out for the Art Ross in 05-06. He just played forever.
Yeah.
And he played on every single team imaginable. Yes, he was good, but like he's one of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
But
like that's what's so tough about the Mount Rushmore. I feel like for the name Mount Rushmore, you think of our Mount Rushmore, it's 4 like founding fathers of a country. Yeah. If you're going to put 4 founding fathers of the game of hockey, yes, Wayne Gretzky's on there.
Yeah.
Mario Lemieux, Gordie Howe, and Bobby Orr are all on there. They're founding fathers of the game of hockey. But there's going to be something where in the next couple decades, when you've got names like Connor McDavid, you got to put up there, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, like, and they're playing in the golden age of hockey, and they're putting up not Gretzky level stats, but damn near Gretzky level stats.
Ovi has 9 Rocket Richards. It's
against goalies that can save, against goalies that can actually play the position and not stand up.
Goalies who have ever played in the NHL. The worst goalie in the NHL today would be an all-star in the 80s.
Yes.
Right? And yes, the styles are wildly different.
Aiden Hill.
But like Aiden Hill would be nasty in the 80s. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's the talent level is so different. Obviously, you can't compare eras. Yeah. But when you talk about Alex Ovechkin, you're talking about the greatest goal scorer of all time, even though you can't compare eras.
Yeah.
He is so far and away ahead of the next best guy of this era. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. He's like 270 goals ahead of Sidney Crosby, who's in second, and that's also one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, with Ovi too, like everyone wants to talk about the empty net merchant or the
he scored 60 of them.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder to score goals now than it was in the 80s.
Yeah. And he's not, maybe, I don't even know about this season. I don't know the exact number, but regardless, like Wayne Gretzky's not far behind him in empty net total goals.
I think we looked at 62 to 57.
Yeah. So
and Gretzky, 894 of his 894 goals were empty net goals.
Yeah.
It's like
those goalies were not doing it.
Those goalies weren't doing shit.
They're standing up. Those goalies, their job was to stand. They didn't go down and butterfly. And if they did, it was on one knee.
You had goalies skating out to the blue line to pass the puck up to defensemen. They were just the 6th defenseman out there. Yeah. They weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. The fact that he is so far ahead in goal scoring of anybody else in this era, it's Gretzky-like stat.
Yeah.
Right? 270 goals is a fantastic career in the NHL. You score 270 goals, as long as you get assists occasionally, you're probably scoring 500-600 points. Right?
Yeah.
That's like, I need to look now how many goals Chris Kreider has in his NHL career, but it's probably so. He probably has like 300 goals in the NHL. Logan Couture, right? As a Sharks fan, he's had a good long career, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he has 270 goals.
No.
It's insane. He's that far ahead of the next best guy.
Yeah.
And the next best guy is 600 something goals. Yeah. It's nuts.
And Ovi had to deal with 2 lockouts in the COVID shortened season.
He'd be at 1,000. He'd probably be at 1,000 by now, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Especially that shortened season he was coming off, or the first lockout. His next season he put up 52 goals, something like that, 53 goals, which is like, he would have said, he would have been, 19. He probably would have scored 40.
Yeah.
Right? It's insane to think about that. He's, at the beginning I said I don't know if I'd put him up there, but I think I probably would. Was a pioneer of the greatest era of hockey. Yeah. He was always at least number 2.
Yeah.
Which is insane because you're talking about the guy that he was ahead of sometimes.
Yeah.
Was Sidney Crosby. I'm pretty sure he has more Hart trophies than Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
I think he has 4. Sid has 3.
Yeah. I think
there might be 3 and 2, but still, it's just insane. I think he's up there with.
Yeah, he's got a cup too. Like there's no.
He has a cup. He has Conn Smythe. Yep. He's won everything that he as a player can possibly win. It's not like he's going out there and, winning the Selke. Lady Byng or the Selke, but it's just insane. Yeah. I
think like you had said, like taking Bobby Orr off or Gordie Howe off, like, it's a tough thing to do, but there's going to be a point where it's like, I'm sorry, but Connor McDavid, assuming he finishes out his career the way he's been doing, amazing. Austin Matthews, too, if he keeps scoring the way he's scoring, he could knock off Ovi.
Exactly. It's one of those things. Babe Ruth, I'm not a huge baseball guy, but Babe Ruth is still seen as one of the greatest players ever in baseball.
Yuck.
That guy played in the 1910s.
Yeah.
Baseball was not baseball when he played baseball.
Yeah.
It's
Shohei Ohtani's the greatest.
Shohei Ohtani is better than him by a mile, right?
Yeah.
It's why are we still considering that guy the greatest of all time? Gordie Howe played in the 50s.
Yeah.
He played right after World War II. Yeah. It was a completely different sport back then.
That's where it just gets hard to argue eras, because it's like, the 9-hole hitter on the Chicago White Sox, the worst team in the MLB, is probably better than Babe Ruth.
10 times the player Babe Ruth could have ever been.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth was fat and smoked cigarettes.
Yeah. He was smoking cigars. He had time to smoke a cigar, not a cigarette, a cigar on the plate. I'm sorry, but like, it's just, eras are so tough. And like, I feel like when we are in our elder years, people are going to say, oh, Matvei Michkov is this and that. Yeah. Like, oh, you never watched Alex Ovechkin.
You never watched prime Alex Ovechkin.
So I get it. But at the same time, it's like the game's going to keep progressing. And I'm sure there's, for any older people listening and, hating that we're talking about Gordie Howe so bad, he's a great player. But I'm sure there's your grandparents that watched hockey. Yeah. There was a player like... I can't even think of one.
Johnny Bauer. They're like, what is this butterfly goalie? You need to stand up.
Exactly.
It's like, bro.
And there's, it's changing. Times are changing. And I think that Mount Rushmore is going to be chiseled with some new faces in the next couple of years.
You can't have the greatest goal scorer of all time off of your GOAT list, off your Mount Rushmore. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying take away Wayne Gretzky because he's no longer the greatest goal scorer.
No.
But Gordie Howe, insane stats. He was the greatest player of his era, right? They don't measure up to today.
Yeah.
The stats don't measure up to today, A, and B, he played for 30 years. I'm pretty sure he played in 4 different decades.
Gordie Howe?
Yeah. He played like pro hockey in like 4 different decades because he came back in it was either the late 70s or the early 80s to play with his son.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that a testament and insane? Absolutely, right? But people are talking about how Patrick Marleau shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he was just a game, like a game hog.
Yeah.
Right?
He's got 500 goals.
Gordie Howe, bro. He played 1,700 hockey games and had like 1,800 points. Like, it's not like he was that much better than him.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. That might be a wild take that could get a lot of hate on the internet, but it's
what
just...
doesn't at this... in this day. But exactly. I mean, honestly, it's so hard to argue that. And like, I think as time goes on, I think it'll be more recognized once he's out of the league and retired. People can admire greatness. It's like LeBron or Tom. Like, I hated Tom Brady watching him in the NFL. Hated him. But now I look back and I'm like, that guy's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Love Joe Montana.
Greatness every single stroke. Yeah.
He's not. Like, it's Tom Brady. So yeah, I think it's a tough argument, but
it's one of those things. People hate Patrick Mahomes today, but in 20 years we're going to be looking back like Patrick Mahomes was so good. Yeah, and I am a number one hater of Patrick Mahomes. I'm a 49ers fan. I've watched him beat us twice in the Super Bowl. It pisses me off, but it's one of those things where it's like people are going to hate on greatness in the moment, and then 30 years down the line, I miss watching Ovi play.
Yep,
exactly. I miss watching those slap shot goals from the top of the point or from the top of the circle.
And maybe that's our thing too. Like, we didn't watch Bobby Orr. We didn't I watched highlights. I had like movies of Bobby Orr. I have a Bobby Orr jersey. I love Bobby Orr, but it's going to come to a point where it's like Cale Makar might knock him off that list. If Cale Makar scores 30 goals in a season in the best era of hockey,
you can't say that Cale Makar is better than Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
He is, and this is crazy because Cale Makar is like 26, right? Mm-hmm. But he is already as good, if not a better player than Bobby Orr ever was, right?
Yeah.
Even comparing generation and generation, like people are talking about if he's the greatest player on the planet. People were a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. I think people still are right now.
Yeah.
He's going to knock him off that list. I don't see a situation where you have a guy in the NHL currently that's already like better than him
Yeah.
And somehow he knocks off the greatest goal scorer of all time. I don't care if you revolutionize the game.
Yeah.
Like, it just...
It's a little bit of recency bias from us, but you know what? That's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
We're young. We're the new faces of hockey, and we're going to be pioneering the new Mount Rushmores of this game. But let's get into the Calder race. Still hot as ever.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but since the Four Nations, the top 5 points leaders of the rookies leaderboard right now, Lane Hutson being number 1, Celebrini 2, Michkov 3, Will Smith 4, Cutter Gauthier 5. Since Four Nations, all 5 of those players have 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on a tear right now.
That's fucking insane because it's been, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
They all have 13 points. That's pretty sick, but they're taking over.
Yeah, they are. And this Calder race, like we said all year, and even I said last year, this is going to be a very, very good year for rookies. It's not revolutionizing that I'm saying that, but
it's really heating up too, which is I thought it was going to be. I mean, out of the gate, it was very competitive between the top 3 guys, but I mean, the last month it's been extremely competitive, where every single guy has been fantastic, and that's not even including the goalie that's on this list. That should be very high up on this list.
Yeah,
Dustin
true.
Wolf's been insane.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things. It's been a fantastic year for rookies.
No, it has. Lane Hutson, like you had said earlier, 52 points. He's in the lead right now.
Mm-hmm.
Macklin's not far behind with 50, but Macklin does lead the rookie goal scorers with 21. Michkov's right behind him with 20. So by the time this comes out, that could change. But still, they're neck and neck. Dustin Wolf is willing his team to a playoff spot. The Calgary Flames, who missed playoffs last year and picked 7th in the draft, I think. He's already having better numbers than Markstrom was having.
Mm-hmm.
And he is 24, I think. I mean, he is he's not getting talked about enough. And like we said before, he's a goalie. It's going to be tough, especially with just how many points all 5 of those guys are putting up.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for him to crack. But I think if Calgary makes the playoffs, I think he has a very good chance of winning that race or that trophy. But one thing people love to point out is that Michkov has less time on ice than Celebrini or Hutson, the 2 leaders.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. He does have less time on ice. He averages 16 minutes and 15 seconds. Macklin averages 19 minutes, 48 seconds, and Hutson averages 22 minutes, 20 seconds. Obviously, Hutson being a defenseman who's also on the power play, defensemen just average more time on ice. Macklin's the best player on his team. He's averaging almost a full period.
Mm-hmm.
He's also on power play. Michkov is averaging 16 minutes. So realistically, 16 and 19 minutes average. That's 3 minutes. That's 4 or 5 shifts, extra shifts, which is a lot. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe there's a reason he's not getting all the time on the ice that he should.
I'm doing some quick math here just because I want to see this. 75 times 56. So Macklin Celebrini has played an entire 25 minutes more than Matvei Michkov has throughout this entire season. So with the injury, even though he's playing more per game, he's played 1,106 minutes. Matvei Michkov has played through 66 games. It's like 1,072. Okay. So really not that much of a difference. Yes, the time on ice and the utilization is less. But that's not
Macklin's fault that he's better.
They have similar power play points. Mac has 4 more power play points. It's not really that much different at all when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. What's interesting is when you go to Lane Hutson, where he's averaging 22 minutes and 20 seconds a night, and he's also played 66 games. That's 6 minutes more per game. So that's a lot different.
But defensemen always play more. Defensemen always have more time on ice. There's 3 defensive lines instead of 4 offensive lines. You take longer shifts. You're not skating as much back and forth. Trust me, I can attest to that. you get more time on ice because you're not a center or a winger going back and forth. Like, it's just not the same.
Yep.
You're just getting backwards. Yeah, it's just not the same. And I don't think you can really put that time on ice for Lane Hutson, like, to knock that player down.
Hutson, this is very nerdy and kind of stupid, but Lane Hutson has played almost 1,500 minutes. He's played 1,472 minutes, as opposed to Macklin Celebrini, who's played 1,100, and Matvei Michkov, who's played just under 1,100 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a big difference. You think about that. That's like, oh gosh, what's 400 divided by 60? That's a lot more. That's a lot more time on ice.
Yeah.
Aggregate over the season. So it's just kind of. I don't think you could really compare that metric though, because you're playing whatever the minutes you're allotted for a reason, right? No coach. If you have some rookie who's just insane, right? No coach is going to play you less because he doesn't like you. Yeah. If you're 19, 20 years old and you're going to be the next best thing, you're not going to be getting played less because the coach doesn't like you at the end of the day, unless there's a serious problem and the coach needs to be fired, which I don't think is the case with Philly.
It's also Torts. Like, Tortorella is known to be a hard ass.
Yeah.
And if he is putting him out less, I mean, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's like all three of these players, and really all six of these players we're talking about, are fantastic rookies.
Absolutely.
But then it comes down to, like, okay, well, who's got the most points? Lane Hutson. Okay, who has the most goals? Celebrini for right now.
Yep.
Celebrini has less games played in his season this year. So it's like, look at points per game. Like, there's so much that goes into it. It's like, you can look at it from all different angles. You can look at, Michkov doesn't play as many minutes, and he still has, I think he's like 4 or 5 points behind Hutson right now.
Yeah.
3 points behind Celebrini. So, I just don't think, if you want to start picking straws, we can pick straws too with Celebrini.
Yes.
And we will.
You're absolutely splitting hairs, though, if you're trying to say, oh, well, Hutson, Michkov plays less per night. Yes, but he's played 10 more fucking games than Celebrini.
Yeah.
And he still has less points.
Yeah.
Like, it's. Yeah.
So if you want to split hairs, we can split hairs.
Yeah.
But we're going to rank these rookies. We're going to give our top 5 for this Calder. Obviously, 1 being the Calder winner at this point in the season, and then 5 being number 5.
Yep.
So, Alan, if you want to go ahead, we can go back and forth and go 1 and 1.
Yep.
We'll give a quick blurb on why we think that.
Are we starting with 5 or are we starting 1?
Let's start with 5.
All right.
I think 5 will be fun because we can kind of build it up for you guys listening.
I want to start off. My number 5 pick is Will Smith. If the season started 30 games ago, he'd probably be my number 1 pick. He's been that good. Yeah. But the season did not start 30 games ago. It started, 67 games ago or 68 games ago. But let's look up his stats here real quick.
My number 5 is also Will Smith.
Yeah.
In the last 18 games, he's had 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think before Saturday, he had 18 points in 18 games.
Yeah.
Obviously, since Four Nations,
I think he had assists Saturday too, right? Or no, he didn't. Macklin scored.
No, he didn't get an assist on that.
Okay. So 18 points last 19 games.
Had, I don't even know how many multiple point games he's had, but yes, like his first half of the season was rough start. And unfortunately, he's not going to win the Calder. That's why he's 5.
Yeah.
You can't put him ahead just because he's had a great second half of the season when all these guys have had a fantastic rest of the season. But he is notable at number 5.
Honorable mention to Cutter Gauthier.
Yes.
Didn't make my list. But of all the guys that are not on a playoff team that are really in the conversation, he's the only one with a positive plus-minus.
Okay.
Logan Staykoven is a +6.
Yeah.
But he's been on 2 very, very, very good hockey teams.
Yeah.
Cutter Gauthier is on the Anaheim Ducks, and they are not fantastic this year. They're, I think, 8 points out of a playoff spot right now. They're kind of middling. And he's got 34 points, 67 games. He's a +3.
Okay.
So that is, he's had a great year. I haven't watched a whole lot. He's playing the least at any of these guys. Played like 14 minutes a game on a bad team, and he's still playing well. So honorable mention to him, but he's not on my list.
No.
Will Smith, 5. Number 4 for me is Matvei Michkov. Who's your 4?
I also have Matvei Michkov at 4.
Yeah.
Sounds wild, but hear us out. Matvei Michkov at 4. Frankly, he's not in the points. He's got to score more. Yeah, he's not playing enough.
Yeah.
But again, with this rookie class, and if you were to tell me like, yeah, Matvei Michkov is your 4 at the beginning of the season, I'd be like, what? What happened?
That's the nuts thing, because it's not a knock on Matvei Michkov at all. He's been fantastic when he has been playing. He's got 3 or 4 OT winning goals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got 3 OT game winners. You know, he's got 20 goals as a rookie in 66 games, 47 points. He's fantastic. He's been great. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the caliber of players that are ahead of him is insane. You have an insane rookie class. Mm-hmm. I think that's really where it's at. My 3rd is Dustin Wolf. I have him at 3rd. Let me pull up his stats here real quick.
So my 3rd is Lane Hutson.
Your 3rd is Lane.
And it's tough because it's like, how do you put the points leader in 3rd?
Yep.
However, he has, from what I checked last, he has like only 19 primary assists. He's got like 40 total assists. Mm-hmm. And yes, to cherry pick that and cherry pick the stat and say he only has 19 primary assists.
Yep.
Still has assists, but Celebrini, who has, I think, only 20-something assists, has like 20 primary assists. And it's tough. Like, again, he's a defender. He's a defenseman putting up these stats. There's no knock on him. Like, he would win last year, frankly, against Bedard. I think any of these guys would, frankly, win against Connor Bedard last year.
I think.
But guess what? It's not last year.
I think that's solely due to because of the hype around Connor McDart. Connor
McDart.
Clip that. Chat, clip that. Yeah, I think you compare it like the hype that was around Connor Bedard. Yeah. Bedard, there we go. There was so much hype built around him, and he had a great rookie season. He did. But you take in Lane Hutson, who didn't have anywhere near as much hype built around him, and he's putting together a spectacular rookie season. Yeah. Yeah, that's just where I'm at. The reason I have Wolf at 3 is kind of stupid, and I'm acknowledging that. He's 23. Yeah. Yes, he's a goalie, and goalies have a different kind of progression timeline than forwards do. Like, you expect a goalie's prime to be a little bit later into their career. Yeah. Connor Hellebuyck's, 33, 34? Yeah. And he's playing the best hockey he's ever played. Yeah. And that's kind of just how it goes. But he's 23. He's going up against there's a guy who's 5 years younger than him in this race. He's been great this season. He's putting up very solid starting goalie numbers, but he's also played in 2 prior seasons. He had 17 games played last year, and he played, given the 1 game, but in 22-23. This might be the salty Sharks fan in me, but William Ekblad wasn't able to win the Calder last year because he had played more than 8 games 2 years in a row. Yeah. Which I find something like that. Some stupid statistic that made him ineligible for the Rookie of the Year race, which I don't know if it doesn't apply to goalies or it's just the amount of games started in each season, but I think it just really, for me, comes down to the age and the games played. That's fair. He's going to be one of, if not the best goalies in the NHL in the future. Mm-hmm. And he's putting up fantastic stats this season. He's 22 wins and 40 games played, 3 shutouts, 254 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. And he is willing his team to the playoffs. Yeah. I think I saw some stat about how the Calgary Flames are like the worst offensive team in the NHL in like every metric. And somehow they're sitting 2 points out of a playoff spot. Yeah. That's nuts. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say that to knock on Dustin Wolf.
Yeah. Well, the age thing is definitely a fair argument because it's like, you've got Macklin, who's a true 18-year-old. Yeah. That guy just can now buy a lottery ticket. Yeah. I don't even know if in San Jose, you can. Lottery ticket at 18, like that's the only thing. Yeah. Everyone else, Lane Hutson on this list, he's 21. Dustin's 23. Which, I mean, playing defense as an 18-year-old would be extremely difficult. Yeah. It takes more time. I get that. But yeah, like my reasoning for Hutson at 3 and Wolf at 2. Taking the age out of it, it's more of just, like you had said, that playoff spot. He's willing them into that playoff spot. He is like basically just putting this team on his back.
Yeah.
Saying that the Flames have a horrible, horrible offense. I know Huberdeau's playing pretty well, but yeah, just to be able to will your team like that, and I feel like that just deserves him at 2. I'm a little biased. Played with the kid.
Yeah.
I know the kid. But at the same time, the kid,
NHL player, the kid.
The kid. Well, he's younger than me, so he's a kid.
Yeah.
Always. No, but yeah, I mean, just to be willing your team like that. And like Lane Hutson, I'm just not sold on the fact that he's a great, great player.
Mm-hmm.
But my tiff with defensemen is like, you got to play defense.
Yeah.
And I don't see much defense out of him.
Yep.
Cale Makar, he's scoring 30 goals, but he plays fantastic defense.
Yep.
It could be better, but
you saw the clip of Brandon Montour torching him for the fastest OT goal in NHL history. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's not like that's like Connor McDavid.
No.
It's Brandon Montour.
That's defenseman on defenseman assault right there.
Defensive defenseman on offensive defenseman assault, but I just found that hilarious.
Yeah. So it's
Nasty
like
goal
that.
too.
It's like if you are if you're saying, oh, defense is so much harder to play. Well, why doesn't he play defense? Like, okay, he's a fourth forward, and you need that. You need an offensive defenseman. I'm not saying that I wouldn't love him to be on the Sharks.
Yeah,
but
we'd be talking a whole lot different about if he was on the Sharks.
And yes, we're very, very biased.
Dustin Wolf would be my number 1 by a clear mile. If I was a Calgary Flames fan.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like every single one of these players, if you're a fan of that team, they're going to be your
biased.
number 1.
Yeah.
And I totally get that.
Yeah.
So your number 2 is Lane Hutson.
The other thing, we have Michkov at 4.
Yeah.
I have watched 1 game of Michkov playing.
Yeah.
Actually 2. I remember because we were at Buffalo Wild Wings with our friend Chase. Shout out Chase. He is a Flyers fan, and we watched him score his first NHL goal. I think it was his first 2 NHL goals.
Yeah.
We don't watch a lot of him play.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for us to gauge.
What's funny is that the NHL has an East Coast bias.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
They're watching all the hockey. We have a West Coast bias because we're on the West Side and we see all those primetime games on our schedule. Yep. So if you want to shame us for that, it's just like the East Coast bias in the NHL too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So number 2, Lane Hutson.
Number 2 is Lane Hutson. I was gonna make a joke and say it was Zach Bolduc, but no, it's Lane Hutson. Yeah, and I'm assuming I know who your number 2 is, Dustin Wolf.
Dustin Wolf, yeah.
Yeah. My reasoning for Lane Hutson, I do think it is absolutely bananas that he has 48 assists in 66 games played. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of knocks on it. He has the most power play points out of any rookie. He has a whole lot of secondary assists. We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
Celebrini and Hutson have the same amount of primary assists, and Lane Hutson has 19 more assists.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one of those things where it's like he's getting a lot of kind of merchant points, but the fact that he has 48 assists in 66 games played is just bonkers as a 21-year-old defenseman.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really overlook that.
Yeah.
And I do think Montreal would be in the basement bottom of the league if they didn't have him.
Yeah.
What the hell else is their shining spot? I guess Cole Caulfield has been great this year. He has 33 goals now. Mm-hmm. But it's just, he's been so good for them that I think I have to put them to put Lane Hutson at my 2.
Yeah, that's fair. And our number 1, shocker, Macklin Celebrini.
Big shock here.
Let's get into it. The glazing's going to start.
So first of all, 50 points, 56 games played, right? Hutson has 52 and 66.
Exactly.
That
point
alone, per
alone,
game ratio alone is bananas.
He's also leading in goals right now by 1, but he's still leading in goals. He's 18.
He's pacing 73 points in a full season, which I think is the same as what Connor Bedard was putting up last season. Yeah. It might be a little bit higher.
Yeah. Well, they both were injured.
Yeah.
Bedard was
both injured
for around the same amount of time.
He broke his jaw.
Yep. I'm getting hit, yeah.
Broke his jaw. He was doing something.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what.
No one knows what. A little bit of lockjaw.
But yeah, it's just, he's been so insane. Watching him play every night. He's winning 47.7% of his faceoffs.
Yeah. As an 18-year-old.
He's got the highest faceoff percentage out of any rookie, at least that's on this list, that's taken more than 30 faceoffs, right? Jackson Blake has slightly higher, and he's taken 29 faceoffs, and then
Celebrini has 800 faceoffs.
He's 841.
Yeah.
He's playing. The other thing about Celebrini, he's playing against every single team's first line.
Yeah.
He's playing against the Sidney Crosbys, playing against the Connor McDavids, and he's winning faceoffs against them. That alone is a nut stat, because that's like one of those things that players tend to develop the older they get, because they learn how to cheat a little bit. They learn how to kind of just change things around.
Yeah, change it around. And he's also playing on the worst team in the league.
He is.
He's playing on the worst team, eliminated from playoffs. He's playing on the first line.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe that's because they're so bad that he's able to play on the first line. I get that. But he's still putting up almost a point per game as an 18-year-old on the worst team in the league.
I
will say, like, for him, he has some talent around him and has had talent around him. You know, he's got Tyler Toffoli on his line half the time, Will Smith on his line, Fabian Zetterlund at times, Mikael Granlund at times he had on his line. Playing power play, too. Like, the Sharks, yeah, they are bad. They're just young.
Yep.
They don't have a lack of skill. I think for, like, Bedard's case, like, he doesn't really have a whole lot around him to help him shine. Celebrini does. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately that point per game stat, being 18 years old, playing a center, and also Celebrini on this list is the only 200-foot player.
Yes.
He is fantastic red line to red line.
So he has the third most blocks out of any rookie, block shots.
Wow.
He has 45 block shots in 50 games played.
Who's number one?
Yeah, take a guess.
Is it Hutson?
It's Lane Hutson. He has 96 block shots, right?
Yeah.
But he's playing defense.
Yeah.
That's in the role of the game, and he's played 66-something games.
Yeah.
66, I think. It's just insane. The only other guy he's behind is Drew Hellebuyck, who is also a defenseman, and he's got 9 less block shots than him. But you're talking about a forward who, as an 18-year-old, you're not expecting a forward to block shots. No. And he's blocking almost a shot a game, which is just, I find that insane.
Yeah. And again, this is the bias to where we've watched this kid play every night.
Yeah.
His hockey sense is out of this world as an 18-year-old.
Yep.
He sees the game better than Bedard, I think. Maybe pretty similar. But still, like, he just has an insane sense of knowing where to be in the NHL.
Yep.
Playing in the NHL.
I think it was through the first 25 games played, he had like the second most controlled zone entries.
Yeah.
Out of anybody.
Yeah.
That's including Connor McDavid. I think Connor McDavid was number 3 and Nathan McKinnon was number 1.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about an 18-year-old who's up there with the best of the best of the best, right? And at one of the most important things for a skilled forward to be able to do is control the puck through the neutral zone. It's insane what he is doing. And you watch him play and you guess he's like a 4th or 5th year guy.
Yeah.
But no, he's 18 goddamn years old. The guy
he didn't play professional hockey to have, like, he played with Lane Hutson actually.
Yeah.
At BU, won the Hobey Baker. And he just sees the game like no one I've really seen in a while.
This is another thing to point out here. 4 of the top 5 point scorers for rookies came out of college hockey, which is really interesting because it really did not used to be that way. As if you wanted to be anybody in the NHL, you go play juniors in Canada.
Yeah.
Right? But 4 out of the top 5 guys, Hutson, Celebrini, Smith, and Gauthier, all played college hockey in Boston, too.
Yeah.
I just find that insane.
Yeah.
You have guys, Logan Stankoven played juniors in Canada. Matvei Michkov obviously played in Russia. Dustin Wolf played juniors in Canada.
Yeah.
But it's just insane how much that kind of development is growing. going the college route. Obviously, you see more guys, Macklin Celebrini, Canadian national, right?
Yeah.
But he chose to play juniors in the U.S. so he could play college hockey, and it seems like it's done wonders for him.
Yeah.
And every other guy on this list, it seems like, played college hockey at some point, and they're younger guys. It's not like they're coming in super experienced. They've played 4 full seasons.
Yeah.
Hutson played 2. Gauthier played 3. That's the most. Will Smith played 2.
One.
Will Smith played 1 season.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Yeah. No, it is. And even the Hellebuyck race was very sillimilar to this.
It was nuts. It's the same players.
Yeah, it's the same
it
players.
really is the same
Will
players.
Smith, Celebrini, and Calder Gauthier were all on that Hellebuyck watch list.
Yep.
But yeah, ultimately, to have a player like Matvei Michkov at 4
is nuts.
That he's there. And that's our ranking. I'm sure if you're a Flyers fan, he's 1 for you.
Calder Gauthier is off of this list.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And even if you are a Flyers fan and you have Matvei Michkov at 1, maybe you have Celebrini at 4, which is insane. Maybe you have Lane Hutson at 4, which is insane. Maybe you have Dustin Wolf at 4, which is insane.
Dustin Wolf might not be on people's lists.
Yeah.
Which is insane what he's doing.
Yeah. Just because of not any knock to him or anything like that. It's just because of how talented this rookie class is.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to kind of see them develop and play against each other. There's going to be rivalries between all these players.
What's going to be really interesting about this year is we kind of saw this when McDavid and Austin Matthews broke into the league, where the next few years, the first round or the first overall picks were kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't score 40 goals like Matthews did. They didn't put up over a point per game like McDavid did. It was like just under a point per game. So I'm kind of curious to see what, who knows if Gavin McKenna gets drafted first overall. He has a rough rookie year and people start calling him a bust. I remember people were calling Jack Hughes a bust.
Yeah.
Because he didn't break onto the scene scoring a point per game.
Yeah. Which that guy needs to use steroids because he's always
that guy needs steroids. Nobody wants to see Jack Hughes injured.
No.
By the way, it's going to be interesting the next few years, like especially the first time a defenseman's drafted. Who knows next year? It's Matthew Schaefer. If he comes in and he's not, the best defenseman in the world, or people are going to be like, oh, well, that guy sucks. You know, it's going to be really interesting.
It really sets the table for next year. Like who's, I don't think if Schaefer gets drafted first overall, I don't think he plays next year just because he's a defenseman. And
I can see that.
It's tougher.
Yeah.
I see him getting at least another year of development, but whoever's got to do which I guess like Ivan Demidov could be in that conversation.
I love how that guy, I feel like at points has been forgotten about. He's the best prospect that's not currently playing in the NHL.
And Cole Eiserman. Dude, Cole
Eiserman's nasty.
In college hockey right now.
Cole Hutson is nasty too.
Hutson, yeah. So I think we're in good hands next year.
We are. It's just who the hell, like the first overall pick is going to be like, that guy sucks because he's not, Lane Hutson or Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah.
The last 2 first overall picks, they've been hovering a little bit under point per game pace as 18-year-olds, which is nuts. And we're talking about Bedard like he's a nobody now.
Yeah.
It's still
which he's not. Like
nasty.
He's putting up fantastic numbers as a sophomore on a shitty Chicago team.
Terrible
with
Chicago
no
team.
talent around him.
That's the one thing that kind of sets Celebrini apart. I saw a picture that was like the tale of 2 rebuilds, and it's Bedard sitting there like this, right? Like you just saw a ghost or something.
Yeah.
And Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith having a sleepover.
Yeah.
It's like the tale of 2 rebuilds is crazy, but we're talking about Bedard like he's nobody. He's still, he's arguably, I'm going to say arguably, the best first overall pick of the last 2 years, which is a soft take, but it's
within, since COVID,
he's nasty. Yeah.
He's the best first overall pick.
Yeah.
Celebrini could be there soon.
Yeah.
But from 2023 to 2020, he's the best first overall pick, which that is a very middle of the road take.
It's a very middle of the road take. Yeah. You saying Connor Bedard's better than Uri Slavkovsky? Whoa.
And Alexi Lafreniere?
Whoa.
Well, you could.
Whoa.
2019, was that Jack Hughes?
That was Jack Hughes. He's been better in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes is still gross, right?
Yeah.
That
Great
guy,
player.
did we ever talk about the injury? I think we did last week.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that sucks. he came out with this whole apology, or not apology, but yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
Sad for Jack, but
yeah.
Either way, it's going to be interesting to see what the next few seasons for rookies look like. I think we should do a little rookie ranking, or prospect ranking.
Okay. Yeah.
Before the draft
like
at some point.
Rookie ranking.
Not rookie ranking. By the way,
yeah, we'll do more stuff for like prospects and stuff, and even like next year's rookies like Demidov.
That's going to be insane. I think he's going to step in and be gross.
Yeah.
Like, people were saying that about Matvei Michkov. I think Demidov's better than Michkov, which is crazy.
Canadians are set, dude.
They're gonna be unreal for years. They really just need Sam Montembeau ain't good enough for you. Come on, bro.
Oh, he's not.
They have Jacob Fowler coming up through BC.
Okay,
he's nasty.
Yeah,
I think he's
right. I remember.
He's like second or third in college save percentage right now.
Nice.
He's played, I think, the second most games. Yeah. There's one guy, I forget what team it is. We need to look through college stats more, but there's a goalie who's like going the fuck off in college right now.
Yeah. Especially like off season, or I mean, even we'll have Frozen 4 soon, so we can next week, if there's maybe not a whole lot of news, we could do some college hockey stuff. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode. Hit the subscribe button, follow us on Instagram, do all that fun stuff. Big shout out to Alex Muchinski.
Facts.
You know who you are. He donated to us, sent a great donation to us. We love it. It helps support the show. We're here in this fancy studio taking our time doing this stuff. So if you want to donate, the link's down below, but you don't have to. It's just a nice thing to do. And you're going to get a shout out on the episode if you do, just like Moose did.
You have to. If you watch this podcast, you have to donate to
Do it. Do it now.
Do it right now.
But thank you everyone for listening to this point. You probably, if you're a fan of the Canadians, Flyers, Flames, or Ducks, you probably hated our list. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Oh well.
This Calder Race is so good, and like we're blessed truly. We're gonna look back on this year and be like, damn, that was a crazy Calder Race that year.
Yeah. It really was.
Last year was too easy as like Bedard or Brock Faber, which I liked Brock Faber, but
there's no way that he was going to take over Bedard with all the hype and the fact that Bedard put up a good rookie season. There's no way.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.